welcome you. Today we're taking a deep dive into a topic that, well, it touches nearly everyone's life. Social media. Specifically, we're unpacking a really fascinating source that zeroes in on its impacts on children and teenagers. It highlights some of the less discussed downsides.
Right.
Our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out the critical insights from this material, give you a shortcut to understanding the specific challenges it outlines. So let's get into it.
Indeed. And this source, it offers a very clear, quite focused perspective. It outlines several specific negative impacts it sees with social media use among young people. And while it does acknowledge, there can be positive aspects, the material really emphasizes that if it's not navigated wisely, it can lead to significant issues.
Especially for younger users.
Exactly, particularly for younger generations still developing those core social and cognitive skills. The insights here, really, they underscore a need for attention from parents, from educators.
To sort of monitor things.
To monitor, and yeah, in some cases, guide usage. Maybe even restrict it, the source suggests.
All right, let's dive into those specifics then, what our source uncovers. That really pinpoints, it seems, 3 crucial areas where social media might negatively impact kids and teens. First up, something pretty fundamental. Real-world communication. The source suggests that too much virtual communication can make young people lazy to communicate in real world.
Right.
Now, that might sound simple, but what does the source really mean by lazy? Is it just like preferring texts over talking?
Well, the source argues it's actually far deeper than just a preference. What's particularly striking here is the detail it goes into.
Okay.
It argues their understanding of language itself can be profoundly disturbed if too much time is spent in these purely virtual environments, where communication often lacks the richness of face-to-face.
Right, the nonverbal stuff.
Yes, exactly. Their knowledge about the nuances of real-life communication, things like deciphering body language, understanding vocal tone, picking up on subtle social cues, that ability can significantly decline. So this isn't just about what they choose to do, but potentially an atrophy, a weakening of vital nonverbal communication skills.
Which are so crucial for connection, for development.
Absolutely, fundamental social development.
So it's not just habit, but a potential skill deficit in reading the room, kind of. That's a crucial insight. Okay, so beyond how they talk to each other, the source also looks at how social media might be shaping a young person's perspective.
Yes.
Second, it argues social networking sites can make children and teenagers, and I quote, more self-interested. How does that connection happen, according to this material?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source suggests it's about their awareness or lack of awareness of their immediate surroundings. The material posits that this constant exposure to curated online personas, highly personalized feeds, it can inadvertently shift a young person's focus inward quite strongly. The source states they become not conscious of the environment around them simply because so much of their time is spent in these very individualized online spaces.
Right, lost in the phone, basically.
Pretty much. And this can, in turn, lead to them being less empathetic in the real world. It's almost as if that digital echo chamber reinforces a kind of self-centric view.
So a direct link between the online habit and real-world interpersonal behavior.
That's what the source argues, yes. A direct link.
That's a strong claim about empathy, linking it right to the digital environment. Okay, and finally, and I think this will interest any parent or educator listening, our source raises a critical point about the built-in blocks of education itself. It mentions that in social networking, there's often a very, let's say, relaxed approach to spelling and grammar.
Exactly. The source highlights that on social networking, quote, there are no rules of spelling and grammar, or very few anyway.
Right, the LOLs and the IDKs.
Precisely.
Oh.
And this casual, free-form environment, while totally common online, it can apparently blur the lines for young people when they need to switch back to formal academic settings.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the research explains that this lack of formal rules makes it difficult for children and teens to distinguish between online chat and, say, writing an essay, or even speaking formally.
Which, as the source says, clearly would affect their writing and speaking skills at school.
It points to a really tangible academic impact that goes beyond just the screen time itself.
Okay, so our deep dive into this particular source, it really emphasizes a clear message. From its perspective, social media has specific, tangible, negative impacts on children and teenagers. We're talking communication, social awareness, even academic skills.
Yes, quite a strong stance.
And the source concludes pretty bluntly that young people have to be restricted because, in its view, they cannot decide which one is good or bad when navigating these digital spaces alone.
Yeah, the material is quite direct in its call for caution and oversight, definitely. So, given these specific challenges it outlines, this potential decline in nuanced communication, maybe reduced empathy, the academic performance issues, it does raise an important question, doesn't it? How might you, listening to this, consider fostering critical discernment in younger users?
Right. Moving beyond just restriction.
Perhaps. Allowing them to understand and navigate these digital spaces more wisely, helping them build the resilience, maybe, to thrive in both the online and the offline works. Something to think about.